Do you want to cut down your cardiovascular disease risk in half? Then keep listening. Lignans. And no, this is not a magic word, but this is a class of polyphenols that gets produced by plant cells, especially by seeds, whole grains, fruits, vegetables, wine, tea, and coffee. We will get to the most lignan-rich foods in just a minute, but let's talk about health outcomes. When you eat lignans, your gut bacteria transforms it into something called enterolactones. In other words, your body cannot produce it on its own, and hence it becomes a very useful biomarker for observational studies. And this just strengthens the associations that we usually see within those observational studies. What happens to people that have a higher serum or blood levels of enterolactones? This study wanted to look at the effects of lignan intake and the risk of coronary heart disease. They analyzed the data from more than 5 million person-years of follow-up, with more than 10,000 coronary heart disease cases, more than 6,000 non-fatal myocardial infarctions, and sadly more than 3,900 fatal coronary heart disease cases. And they took blood samples or plasma samples from almost 1,700 participants. They saw that total lignan consumption led to a 15% decreased risk of coronary heart disease. The risk reductions plateaued at intakes above approximately 300 micrograms per day. 300 micrograms of lignans is actually quite easily achievable. We will look at the list in just a minute, but for the time being, let's have a look at more research. This prospective population-based control study that was released in 1999 looked at acute coronary events. They measured the enterolactone levels within the blood in 167 men. They saw that the men that had the highest blood levels of enterolactones had an almost 60% lower risk of acute coronary events compared to those with the lowest level of enterolactones within their blood. And after adjustments of 9 predictive risk factors, the associations became even higher at 65% or slightly more. More than 60% reduction. That is a number that you don't come across quite frequently. There's even more research. This study looked at enterolactone blood level concentrations and the risk of cardiovascular disease and all-cause mortality. They measured the enterolactone levels within the blood of almost 1,900 men, and they followed these men for 12 years on average. Although not many deaths occurred, we could still see a huge drop in risk within this study as well. They divided the blood levels of enterolactone concentrations in 4 parts, 1 being the lowest concentration while 4 being the highest concentration within the blood. Those with the highest blood enterolactone levels had a 67% reduction in risk for coronary heart disease-related deaths, 63% for cardiovascular disease-related deaths, and 45% decreased risk for all-cause mortality. And even if you adjusted for a multitude of dietary factors, lifestyle factors, etc., you still had a 56% reduction in risk for coronary heart disease-related deaths, a 48% reduction and a 45% reduction in cardiovascular disease-related deaths, and a 28 or 24% reduction in all-cause mortality. The risk reductions are huge, but I'm the first to say that I wish to see more data. We need these results to be replicated in different demographics and, of course, way bigger populations. And preferably, I would also love to see the research extend and being done by different researcher teams. But so far, all the data I've come across has been very positive. So what are the most lignan-rich foods that you can eat? This study right here provided us with probably one of the best lists you can come across. I just highlighted a few, but feel free to look up this study and look at the whole list. The numbers you see on the right are the numbers of lignan being present in 100 grams of each food item. The numbers on the left indicate the amount of lignans being present in one serving size. By just eating a fraction of a tablespoon of flax seeds, you can already accomplish that task. Sesame seeds are also really high in lignans, but also chickpeas are super high in lignans as well. Of course, there's many other foods, but if you eat a diet rich in whole plant-based foods, you have zero problems reaching 300 micrograms of lignans per day. Are you consuming flax seeds or other lignan-rich foods on a daily basis? Then feel free to let me know in the comment section. What are your thoughts about this topic? I would love to hear them in the comment section as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you during my next video.